Hello and welcome to another episode of Blue Alpine TV. In today's episode, we will talk about the crazy increase in Bitcoin. We'll talk about the Kick Beta app, and then we'll talk about Bitmain getting into Silicon Valley. So let's jump right into this first, chart, let's say. And I'm moving myself out of here just quickly. So for the podcast listeners, we're currently on TradingView because there you can see the volume a little bit better. And what happened yesterday, pretty much in the evening, if you will, European time, is that first Bitcoin jumped from like 6.3 to 6.6 within a couple of minutes, if not seconds. And then once it hit around 6.7, it jumped another like 4 to 500 US dollars, all within a very, very short time period. Now you can see the volume increasing here as well, obviously, and generally this is very positive. So the last time this happened, we were very close to the 10K. And the thing that I don't like is that these jumps are too immediate. Normally, when jumps like these happen, there will always be a correction. So in any case, be careful out there. Don't jump to price conclusions too much. Invest into the fundamentals, as we like to say. But generally, hopefully, we'll now crack the 10K line and then the uptrend is back again. So let's move myself here into the corner again. But let's jump right into this first major news story that I think is quite interesting. So Kick Beta app, Kinit, goes live on Google Play after 100 million ICO. So Kick Messenger, some of you guys might be familiar with it, has, I think, a user base of around 15 million monthly users, and it is a messaging app that is more a niche product compared to, let's say, WeChat or compared to Telegram, which both have WeChat is, I think, over a billion, and Telegram is over, I think, 300 million users. So Kick is still a small thing. However, a lot of people, for example, on Instagram do use it. And what Kick did was they created an ICO with the hopes to kind of launch their own currency to implement into their application, which sounds like a great idea considering that you have kind of a closed ecosystem and that you're introducing a cryptocurrency into the application. I mean, imagine WhatsApp or Telegram with a native currency. Now, after the 100 million ICO, what Kick also has obviously is the 120 million US dollar funding round that they have received in order to kind of expand the business. Now, add 200 million or 220 million US dollars into the mix together with 15 million of literally a usable product, a product that a lot of people do use, and you have a very interesting combination. So yesterday, Kick actually, or Kin, or Kick will, it's the app is called Kin, but the makers behind it are called Kick. They have released a standalone application called the Kin standalone app, where you can make money or make kin by answering certain types of questions. So Kick's strategy seems to be threefold. They have like three approaches how they want to introduce this kin currency into the world. The first is the kin ecosystem. It says here the ecosystem includes partners such as Kick, Unity, Blackhawk Network, and IMVU. The company also launched a developer program last Wednesday that will pay up to 25 developers a total of nearly 3 million US dollars to create and maintain independent kin economies over a 6-month period. So the idea is that kin will be a major part of like these small economies based on those platforms that I just mentioned, and people will actually develop these things in order to get users onto the platform. For Kick, this is a good business because people will start using kin. And for the partners, this is also interesting because they have new types of revenue models like this. The second part is the actual kin blockchain. The blockchain actually consists of two different blockchains and evolved through trial and error. Kin was originally supposed to be an ERC20 token, but the network was far too easily congested to support the kind of user base Kin is aiming for. The team then planned on moving to Stellar, which allowed Kin's developers to process transactions faster and cheaper. Now, I think they even moved a little bit away from Stellar as well due to kind of liquidity and market capitalization concerns, but it will be run alongside with Ethereum as it is currently. Now, the third app or the third part of the strategy is the Kin standalone app. The app's goals were to create a standalone simple app where users could discover apps throughout the Kin ecosystem. The app right now is relatively simple. Users are onboarded through a typical onboarding screen that explains the basics of the app and gives users the ability to start earning a kick. Users are then asked to enter their phone number, and after confirming it, are immediately brought to the app's home screen where they are invited to take a quiz. So imagine it a very simple question and answer game, Batman or Superman, I don't know, New York Giants or New York Yankees, stuff like this. And based on that, you will earn kin as well. The goal, I think, of this application is to introduce people to the kin currency quite slowly. There's also a video, I won't play it right now, but essentially it shows that you can earn kin throughout the day, every day, for different types of answers that you're giving. How these answers, by the way, are being used is unclear. Could very well be that they are kind of tracking these answers and also planning to introduce certain marketing or sales activities such as advertising within these applications. The goal kind of is to introduce people to this kin currency. They are also offering to exchange the kin currency into Amazon gift cards. So there is definitely something that is being worked on by Kik. Will it be successful? Nobody knows. Looks like the Kin standalone application has a quite high retention rate. It says here 10-day retention rate of 75%. Normally only social apps such as Facebook and Instagram have these kind of numbers. Industry average says here is less than 30%. So this seems to work, but it is fairly new, so it's too early to say, I would say. In any case, I think it is a very interesting combination because, like I said, you have on one side, you have Kik, you have a very well-founded team, you have a product that's working, so the introduction of this kin currency will be quite interesting. Now, obviously, there's also a business model behind it. Kin's business model is to get people to use Kin. Kiks, but yeah, Kik owns 30% of all Kin ever created, and if more people use it, the demand for the currency goes up and the price of the currency also goes up. So obviously, it's this approach that Binance is using with their Binance coin as well. As long as you're within our ecosystem and using our cryptocurrencies, we are making money. So that's the kind of goal. So as long as it's a closed ecosystem and people, the inflows and outflows of money are being used by the currency that the platform actually provided, then they are making money like this. So quite interesting. Next up, we have, in my opinion, a very interesting news story. Bitcoin mining giant Bitmain opens 20,000 square foot office in Silicon Valley. So Bitmain has expanded into Silicon Valley. They are moving into office space in San Jose, California. And what is really interesting is, in my opinion, this move, and for the people who don't know what or who Bitmain is essentially the biggest producer of mining hardware there is. The goal is kind of to cover the mining market in terms of especially ASIC miners, and there I think they have a market share of around 70 or 80%, and they are quite quickly trying to expand as well. So they are investing into AI, machine learning, all of these different technologies, because there is a rumor that they will probably do an IPO later this year. Now, they have currently a valuation of $12 billion US. Bitmain is not only the most or highly valued cryptocurrency startup, at the same time, it is actually one of the highest valued startups in the world. So this is makes it really interesting. Makes this a really interesting expansion, because until now, until cryptocurrencies and certain technology sectors, you did have a lot of centralization in Silicon Valley when it came to different technologies. Now, with China becoming so strong, you have different technology companies that are really, really doing good in China. So all these Ubers of China, or the Googles, or the YouTubes, the Facebooks, every kind of Chinese or every US company has a Chinese equivalent, if you will, the mainly used ones. And it is very rare that these companies are actually going out of China. So you have Baidu, you have Sina, I think is also a site. And these sites are very, very locally focused, if you will. So they're purely in Chinese. There is no English translations of these applications, or of most applications yet. They are fully focused on the Chinese market. I would say one of the few ones that are getting into different markets are WeChat when it comes to software, and maybe DJI when it comes to hardware. Although DJI is very much, in my opinion, more of a global company, because their main users are still kind of the film industry and other industrial technologies, etc. So you have with Bitmain one of the first few companies out of China that is expanding into Silicon Valley with the goal to kind of build their be it their investment portfolio, because Bitmain is also investing into different companies, but at the same time also kind of like broaden the influence. And this is quite interesting because it said here, Bitmain, along with PayPal co-founder Peter Thiel, headlined a funding round for blockchain startup Block One, the creator of the EOS cryptocurrency. The size of the funding round was not announced publicly. It's not only that, they have also invested kind of in a controlling stake into Opera web browser. So they have also invested into Circle. So there is definitely something going on with Bitmain, and Bitmain is more than just an ASIC miner company. And with this expansion, you can kind of see that the era of the Western applications, or the Western technology staying within the Western hemisphere, this will kind of change. They have always tried, Uber has tried, Facebook has tried, Google has tried to enter China with certain aspects. It never properly worked. And China has these equivalents of these technology companies in China as well, and they work really, really well. They're really kind of focused for that market. But with Bitmain, you now have a company that is not only really strong in China, you have also a company that kind of wants to expand into the Western hemisphere. And this, I think, is the turn of an era, because China will get stronger in the technology space, and this is something that Europe, that Silicon Valley, and all of these people around there have to kind of think of. For you as an investor, what does this mean? Essentially, watch the investments of Bitmain quite closely. What Bitmain touches currently is turning into gold, like said in a crazy way, but still, like this investment into Block One, what does it mean? Are you invested into EOS? Do you believe in EOS? Why is Bitmain invested into Block One? All of these questions, I think, are important questions that you as an investor have to kind of take care of. With that, guys, we're already at the end of today's episode. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the podcast. I will see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.